Gene editing refers to the process of changing regions of cellular DNA. On the other hand, synthetic biology is a field of science that involves redesigning organisms for useful purposes by engineering them to have new abilities. The main difference between these two is that in synthetic biology, scientists change an organism's genetic code by inserting pieces of DNA from other organisms or creating completely new ones. On the other hand, gene editing involves changes in the organism's own DNA. Currently, the United States is a leader in synthetic biology as well as biotechnology, and it is the focus of a great deal of private sector investment. In the near future, these investments may help to bring at least 100 products to the market. However, it is important to mention that governments are still questioning the ethical and social implications of developing these technologies.
Even though gene editing is a relatively new technology, it is currently being applied to solve several problems and tested in the hope of providing solutions for many others. In the medical industry, gene editing can potentially correct genetic mutations that cause inherited diseases, such as cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, and sickle cell anemia. It can also be potentially used to engineer immune cells that are resistant to viral infections like HIV, or to modify the genetic material of viruses themselves to make them less harmful or more susceptible to treatment. Additionally, gene editing can be used to create more effective cancer treatments by modifying immune cells to attack cancer cells or by targeting cancer-causing mutations directly. In the agriculture sector, gene editing is being used to create crops that are more resistant to pests, drought, and other environmental stresses, which could help to improve food security and reduce the use of harmful pesticides. Finally, scientists are using gene editing to preserve endangered species by modifying the DNA of individual animals or plants to help them adapt to changing environmental conditions.
The industries that are going to be impacted by gene editing are 7. The first one is the healthcare industry and biomedicine. As mentioned earlier, gene editing can help to treat genetic diseases and as a result increase the life expectancy of the population. Also, it can simulate and create DNA of different species, which could even lead to bringing back species in extinction. The second one is agriculture, reinforcing the idea mentioned earlier of improving this sector by creating more resistant crops. The third one is farming. Gene editing could be used to modify the genes of farming animals and, for example, push chickens, pigs, and fish and cows to grow bigger and faster. The fourth one is the forestry industry and climate change. It can be used to change the traits of trees and make them more resistant against climate change. The fifth one is the aesthetic industry. Gene editing could be used in this industry for genetic modification and therefore change the looks of people. And the last one is the defense industry. Could be used to create the perfect weapon that spreads diseases and used to edit the genes of soldiers to protect them against chemical and biomedical weapons.
Genome editing is a method for changing DNA with accuracy and focus. It may be used in agriculture to increase food crops' resistance to regional environmental stresses, including climate, disease, and insect pressure. Traditional breeding methods can be laborious and time-consuming, whereas CRISPR, for example, is one common technique used for gene editing. The process is a way of speeding up the natural evolution of genetics. Within the gene editing, the desired DNA alterations can be acquired within a single generation, and the end product can be indistinguishable from a traditional crop. The market value of crops has mostly been determined by crop quality. Crop quality is influenced by both internal and external factors. Gene editing has improved quality by an emphasis on the fruit's texture, edible quality, and nutritional content.
A secondary major application that gene editing could have in the food production sector, which could disrupt the industry significantly in the coming years, is regarding the efficiency and productivity. By targeting specific cells within both crop and animal DNA, the yield of these could both be significantly improved, providing a much more efficient output. For example, by altering certain parts of the genetic code of a crop or a fruit, it may allow them to have a larger window for consumption, or in the case of animals, may allow more parts to be used for food, or again have a larger window of consumption. Overall, one of the biggest impacts this could have in the industry is also reducing food waste, which is currently a major point being tackled. Similarly to increasing the efficiency, the total output and productivity could be increased as well. While currently crops and animals both require a certain amount of time to become mature enough to be used in the food production sector, gene editing has the potential to reduce the time needed and thus increase both the rate of output, or productivity, as well as the total output. With this, the global shortage of food and major issue of hunger could also be addressed. Overall, by combining the aforementioned applications of gene editing in this industry, efficiency and productivity in the food production sector could significantly increase and promote both less waste and increased food output.
Gene editing and synthetic biology have the potential to disrupt the agricultural sector by increasing product variety, driving R&D, and changing the relationship between big firms and autonomous farmers. This technology could lead to a wider variety of crops that are better suited to different climates, soils, and growing up conditions, which will create new opportunities for farmers to diversify their crops and increase their profits. As evidence, it will require significant investments in R&D, both by private firms and public research institutions. This could lead to increasing competition among firms and a focus on innovation and technological development in the sector. However, it is also possible that the cost of these technologies may limit their adoption by smaller farmers, leading to a consolidation of power among large agribusiness firms. Autonomous farming technology could also be impacted by gene editing and synthetic biology, as large firms may be better positioned to take advantage of these technologies and incorporate them into their operations. This could lead to increasing competition between large firms and autonomous farmers, and may also change the way that farmers interact with these companies and the technology they provide.